Player 2 has joined the game.
Hey, yo, what's up, everybody, and welcome to a very special episode of the Two Player Co-op Podcast. As always, I'm your host here, Kevin, along with my brother from my mother, Sean.
How we doing?
We're doing fantastic. We're recording this after the interview that we just did, which you can tell what it is by the title of the video, obviously, but let me get through everything first. If this is the first time you're seeing, hearing, or listening to us, this is the Two Player Co-op Podcast, where just about every week, two brothers get together to tell you everything you need to know about in the world of video games. If you like that, make sure you like the video, subscribe, share it with your friends, family, and everyone in betwixt, especially this one. If you really like us, you can go to patreon.com/2playercoop. Sorry, there's a laptop in the way. Just like our producers, Steve Appleton, Aunt Sue, and Vernon Slayton did, as well as our affiliate, James Solar. If you want merch, you can go to teespring.com/stores/2playercoop. And yeah, until we're out of this pandemic, make sure you go ahead and wear your mask. So I've been hinting at this interview for a while now, and we're recording this after, like I said. I thought it went great. I'm so happy that Colin agreed to come on. Like I've said, here, there, and everywhere in betwixt, he's the reason we're doing this. He and Greg Miller too. That's why we started this thing. So to be able to actually interview him was an absolute highlight of my life, to not be too dramatic. It was awesome. We talked about everything from Habroxia 2 to Cyber Shadow to burgers to NES and SNES, and I think you're really going to like it. What do you think, Sean?
I think it was a lot of fun. Fun for the whole family.
Yes.
Except for the F-bombs.
Except for the F-bombs. I'm not going to bleep anything because whatever. It's Colin. Colin is Colin, and I'm fine with it. I didn't say any, though. So, yeah. Yeah, we wanted to record this separately so we didn't have to subject Colin to all this stuff. So I don't think there's really anything else to say except enjoy the interview with Mr. Colin Moriarty. Greetings and salutations, everybody. We are here with the patriarch of Last Stand Media himself, Colin Moriarty.
Well, thank you. It's very very kind of you. Appreciate it. I see your shirt. Appreciate you wearing the sacred shirt. Is that the new one or the old one?
That's the old one. That's
cool.
The old one. Yeah.
Cool.
I do want to get one of the hoodies, though. I do have to say, because those are, I know they're the best selling one, and they're pretty sweet. So
thank you. Yeah, we're stoked about those.
So first off, thank you so much for being here, man.
Yes.
We've been doing this podcast for over 5 years,
5.5 years. Yeah.
Which is crazy. And you're the reason we started it. You're the reason we started drinking old fashions.
Cool.
And I just can't tell you how much this means to us. I appreciate it so much.
Oh, you're very welcome. I'm gonna lean in and just shut my window here because
oh, you're good.
I think people are maybe being loud outside. Okay, there we go.
So no problem at all. So the first question I have to ask, well, first off, I'm just so happy that you got back into games.
Yeah,
I loved I mean, I hate politics now, but I loved listening to you talk about politics and history and everything. But I'm just so happy you came back to gaming 3 years ago or whatever it was now. And I'm not just blowing smoke up your butt. Sacred Symbols is my favorite podcast. I only listen to really 2 video game podcasts now. I listen to Sacred Symbols and I listen to Game Scoop because I love Damon and what they do over there at IGN. And Chris is awesome. I did recently go back and listen to the first episode just because. And within like the first 10 minutes, he was already talking about Halo and grappling hooks. So it's just good that he's been on brand since the beginning.
Yeah, he's been very consistent.
Yes.
If anything.
Yep.
Well,
so I appreciate that.
Cool. No, thanks. It's good to not be in that world anymore. And
yeah,
I was really only in that world for a little while, and it's been a while now. So it's almost like a bad dream in some sense, but yeah, it's good to be back in games and embracing that passion again.
Yeah. It made me so happy. I know it made Sean happy too. Also, I've always had a connection to you because we're both from upstate New York. We're from Watertown. So way up north, basically in Canada, essentially.
Pretty much.
And I think the only thing we don't really agree on is that, you're an Islanders fan. I'm a Rangers fan, but I shouldn't admit that to anybody right now or for the last few years.
We're also Giants fans.
Yes.
Oh, interesting. You would think you guys might be like Bills fans and Sabres fans.
I feel like we split time between the Giants and the Bills growing up. And then, I don't know. I feel like the Giants were always my first love. And then one of my earliest football memories is Super Bowl 25 wide right. And yeah, it's been all Giants since then, but Bills look good now. Yeah, Giants do not.
Definitely. No.
As long as the Patriots continue to suck, right. I'm happy with it.
Yeah, me too. No doubt about that.
So before we get into everything I want to talk about, the first question I have to ask you is the most important, and that is, how is Rush doing?
He's very well. I don't even know where he is. He's somewhere in the house, being either being lazy or annoying or some combination of that. It's interesting. He's crazy. I mean, we're with him all day, so he's really spoiled for attention, and I feel bad. Like, I don't think he's ever been away from me for more than a couple hours at the most, and he's a year old in a couple weeks. So, we're actually getting him fixed on the 10th, so in a week. And I always assumed you did it like early. I never had a puppy before. I was exposed to even Lola, the dog I actually fell in love with, the Boston I fell in love with when she was 18 months old. So I never had a puppy, and I always thought you did it early. And then I guess that was conventional wisdom for a long time. And now you're supposed to wait until they're a year old so that they're structurally built, I guess, skeletally built. And so then I was there yesterday doing blood work, and I was talking to them about, I keep asking them if it's cruel. I keep making them assure me that it's not cruel, because he's got this personality, and he's nuts, and he's cute, and he's lovable, and I don't want anything about him to really change, but he is a little crazy. So he's not mean. He doesn't go after anyone. He's just so energetic that I just need to shave a little bit of that off and get like 80% of Rush, and then we'll be pretty good. Yeah. And literally as well, his dangling nuts are going to go. And I feel bad about that, but he's good otherwise. And he's been a really wonderful companion. Yeah. And just my shadow. And I don't know what I would do without him. It's crazy that not even a year ago I didn't even have him.
Right. Yeah. So I've got an Aussie Doodle puppy. I mean, he's about 8 months old now. Named Barkley. Again, we're Giants fans, so my wife didn't like the name Saquon, so I got her to go along with Barkley.
It's a double entendre too.
Yes,
it works perfectly. Yeah.
So we actually just got him fixed a couple weeks ago, sorry, and he's no less hyper. He is insane. He's super smart, and dogs are just the best. So,
yep.
No, they totally are. I can't imagine. I was never like anti-dog. I was just really apathetic to dogs growing up. My best friend had 3 dogs, and we were cool with them, and I'd take them on walks with them. But I never wanted one. I never wanted for a dog. And even I lived with a pit bull in college for a little while. Mimi was her name. And then I lived with Portillo for years, which was Greg Miller's dog. And then Lola was really, like I said, the dog that, which my ex-girlfriend's dog that I fell in love with. And so it took time, but I always considered myself a cat person, and cats are great. They have a place. I still want a cat. I'd like to have a cat just roaming about. I like their snideness and their particularness. I can relate to them in some way. They want to be left alone. And, like my cat Chun-Li I had for 17 years, and she died in 2009. And, I thought it was sad, but it was funny in hindsight, because she died. We were like, "Where's Chun-Li?" And it's like she just curled into a ball and died under the desk. And I'm like, I can relate to that.
Yeah, that was our cat that we had when we were growing up. Willie, he did the same thing.
We just went off on his own, and we just found him.
Yeah, it's sad, but emblematic of the cat, nonetheless, of the feline. So, yeah, it's cool to have like an animal that seems to like you. And that relies on you, and we have a little relationship with each other. So yeah, it's cool. It's been a nice addition to my life.
Awesome.
Thank you for asking.
So Habroxia 2.
Yes.
We were lucky enough to get review codes. Thank you, Lily Mo.
Cool.
And we freaking loved it.
Yes.
It was, and I think you've talked about this too, that I liked Habroxia 1, but Habroxia 2 really was, to me, it was leaps and bounds. Over the original. I did get the platinum on PS4 and on Vita. So we got the review codes, but I didn't realize, because I was like, why isn't this showing up in my downloads on Vita? And then I realized it was just the way the review codes work. And I said, oh, that's fine. I'll definitely buy it full price on Vita. So I got the platinum twice. Of course, Sean got it on PS4. He doesn't have a Vita, but I told him he just needs to borrow mine, and he can get the platinum and Habroxia 1.
I think
Habroxia
I was
2.
the 7th or 8th platinum.
You were the 8th platinum.
Not bad.
Cool. I was the 13th.
Nice. You probably both beat me. I don't think I did it for a while.
No, I think you were up there. At least, yeah. I think PSN profiles had you above us. It was Barry was first, Tidux, or actually Tidux might have been first, and then Barry, and then down the line. But I hate that Sean forever got his platinum before I did. I have 61.
Yeah, it was annoying. They were not ready to go with. Oh, thank you. They were not ready to go until like right before launch, because we really wanted people to play on Vita. That's the lead platform. The game was built on Vita. I don't know if a lot of people. I don't know if we really ever talk about that. Like Barry builds all of the games on Vita and then ports them to other platforms. That's the funniest thing. We might be the only studio that does that, and we're doing that with the new game too that we're working on. And so it's cool to have the game out in the wild and for people to enjoy it and to hear people's impressions on other platforms too, because we had Switch ready to go at launch and everything. So we kind of had for the first time some semblance of cross-platform agnosticism going on, where we had like equitable sales across platforms. Because when you port a game later, like we barely sold any copies of Twin Breaker on Xbox, for instance, because we didn't, just by virtue of not releasing it there at the same time. So it was kind of cool from that perspective too, but we wish we had that Vita version for more people to play pre-launch. And we'll be back on Vita later this year with a new game.
I appreciate you keeping Vita Island alive. I still need to go back and get the platinum on Twin Breaker. It was just the levels with the 4 pads. I was like, I'm 39 years old. My brain just can't handle this. So I need to go back and do it. But yeah, so the biggest difference in Habroxia 2, and I think it's the best game Lily Mo's created yet. We again absolutely loved it. Was the twin stick gameplay. And so I was just wondering, was that something that you came up with, or was that Barry?
No, that was Barry. Had wanted to, Habroxia is a very static, old school, like Konami style arcade shooter. It's great, but I agree. Habroxia 2 is a much better game, and it's different. It's because it's different. It plays more with more modernity in mind. And the only Housemarque fan I know that's as passionate about them as me is Barry. And so we both drew inspiration from that. And he knew, I think, when Habroxia had just come out, that he had wanted to really make a twin stick shooter. And what we're talking about now is, do we want to go backwards and basically patch the old games to like go back and add to them and fix them by virtue of what we've learned since? But no, that was all Barry. And Habroxia 2 is very much his game. I've tried to stay in the background on this game as much as possible. Of course, my assistance comes later on with all of the games, which is to market them and to help sell them, because I have such a huge platform and all of that. And I co-produced the game and wrote it and all of that, and kind of designed the world and Sabrina, the protagonist, but who I love. I think she's awesome, but I don't take any credit for any of the gameplay, with the exception of a few things. Like I some of the like button mapping stuff and the structure of the game and all of that. But I got to give Barry his due. I never want to stand in the spotlight. In fact, when I partnered with him, it was under the guise and the promise that I would be largely silent and really only both on the business sense and what we would do next and all of that. And I kind of want to remain true to that, because he is the engine that could. I am just the writer of the games. Like, it's Twin Breaker and Habroxia would exist without me, but so
cool.
Yeah.
That I do have to say, that damn boost rush mode trophy was about to make me kill myself. And
that's a hard one.
When I finally got it, I said, this is a Colin ass trophy if I've ever seen one. So I don't know if it was a Colin trophy or not.
It's funny. It's the only trophy I complained about too. I didn't make the trophy list.
Okay.
Twin Breaker's trophy list I made. This one I just I ordered and organized and wrote a bunch of the stuff and everything. But Barry had selected what he wanted to include in there. And it's funny because we're already thinking we'll inevitably bring the games to PS5. And I just got my dev kit today. Actually, I tweeted out a picture of it.
Yep.
And so we're going to do that. And we have the option of totally changing the trophy lists. And I think we're going to do that. I think we might be like the only game that really just re-releases the same game for free if you already own it, but totally gives you a different trophy list or a different achievement list on the new platform. So we're taking all of this into account too, in addition to the gameplay stuff we're learning, just how people, because like I really looked at Twin Breaker's trophy list is perfect. And I still think it's like one of the, and I hate to use this word for something I made, but like one of the most elegant trophy lists for what we like. We like a weekend game. We like to earn it, but we don't really want to like go crazy for it. You know, we don't always want a 50 or 100 hour platinum. Sometimes we want like a really well-earned 10-hour platinum. And that's what we were trying to do. And like you said, the 4 walls in Twin Breaker really broke people's minds. It hurt me too when I first started playing it. And then we became so good at it from playing it over and over again that, as I've said over and over again, we thought it was way too easy. That's what I was afraid people were going to be like, this game's fucking way too easy, because we were beating the game in like a half an hour at some point. You know, it's like, you know, and you're done. And I'm like, man, people are, and the same, and ironically, the same thing happened with Habroxia, where I was like, I think the game's too easy. We actually kept tweaking the economy, which is what makes the game easier or harder. And what we realized was the economy makes the game totally modular, which we're really excited about. So the game thus becomes as easy or as hard as you want it to be, which is very like JRPG like, almost like, where you can kind of run around the field or the dungeon and just grind levels and destroy whatever's in front of you. If you want to, you can also play in the exact opposite and see if you can beat Habroxia 2 without any upgrades, which is, I would imagine, almost impossible. I would be surprised if anyone can do it. But it's the options are there. And so we learned from the previous game to make it more modular. And even then, some people were like, man, this game's so hard. I'm like, stop complaining. I can't take it.
Well, so we don't need to worry about a beat the game with no upgrades trophy on PS5, right?
No, we would never do anything. Okay. We would never do anything that we couldn't earn. It's pretty clear, like from you can just pop trophies in the dev kit. And so you can just make assumptions that trophies work the way that they're supposed to. There were broken trophies in Twin Breaker,
right?
That we had to fix because we made assumptions about how they worked. We earned them in certain ways and then couldn't earn them again. And then some trophies were broken. Like in Twin Breaker, you can earn the New Game Plus trophy by just beating the last stage, and it's like, oh shit, you know, right. we made an assumption about how this trophy works, and so we had to go and patch that kind of stuff. So we don't want to do anything that we wouldn't want to do, you know. And I hate, it's funny because people are also bringing up some contradictions, which I understand. Like, I hate New Game Plus trophies, but we put them in. But my argument is like, well, our games are really short. I'm saying I don't want to play Final Fantasy VII Remake again. That's what I'm saying. You're lucky I'm not making you do this 3 times. The game is 2 hours long, you know? So, and now everyone's complaining. Maybe I will make you do it 3 times.
Well, like even Miles Morales. So I finally went back and got that platinum, and I was just like, I don't want to do this. Like it was a good game, but I just felt like putting that New Game Plus trophy in there was just a little bit too much for that game, especially when I mean, Miles has great powers and stuff. It's fun to play the first time, but when you can't skip every cutscene and stuff like that, it was just like, this should not have been a trophy for Miles Morales. I don't think.
I completely agree. And it's so weird. Insomniac's trophies are like all over the place with their quality. Like Resistance 2 famously had one of the worst, you know, online trophies ever, which was the 10,000 kill trophy. Like, made the game almost impossible to platinum. And then they have games like Ratchet and Clank: A Crack in Time, or even 2016 Ratchet, where you look at it and you're like, well, this is totally fair, you know. And I would love to see what a Sunset Overdrive trophy list would look like. And although I'm sure it would be a mirror of the Xbox version, and you know, Fall of Man would be another cool Insomniac game to get trophies, and that has an in-game trophy list, so they could just mirror them on there. But I talked to them about that, and they don't. I don't know. Maybe we'll see that on, you know, some sort of Resistance collection, but
I hope so. I hope this year we get a Resistance trilogy and a Metroid Prime trilogy. I still I don't know what the hell Nintendo is doing over there.
Yeah, that would be cool, man. I love Metroid Prime.
Yeah,
I really love those games.
Sean loves them. Out, yeah, I've never even touched them for a second, so that's why I just want Nintendo. Like, it's the anniversary. Obviously, you know, they crapped the bed with the first Zelda Direct or Nintendo Direct with just doing, hey, you want Breath of the Wild 2? Sorry, here's Skyward Sword. I mean, My hopes will be tempered for the rest of this year with Nintendo, as they always should be.
Yeah, I don't even pay attention to them that much anymore. I just kind of see what's been announced, and I sign on to social media or just when I'm writing the shows, and I'm like, oh, like I was just reading, oh, there's a Pokemon. I knew there was a Pokemon remake of Platinum or whatever it is, but which is the last Pokemon game I had played, so it's been a long time. But then I was like, oh, there's like another Pokemon game. I didn't even know that. I'm kind of bored by Nintendo. I'm so happy that everyone loves the Switch. I like the Switch. I think it's cool, but I have one. I bought it at launch. I mean, it wasn't like I was hard to convince, but I was looking at the sales numbers today, actually, and you got to give them credit. There are 5 first-party Switch games that have sold almost twice as much as any PlayStation exclusive has ever sold. And you can't argue with that. But it's not what I'm looking for. I feel like these are experiential kind of things where it's like Smash Brothers, Mario Kart, Animal Crossing, and then you like have some other things where it's like Zelda's kind of a one-off thing where it's like an adventure that you really play once, but even then it just never ends and it's nebulous. And so it's like all this stuff that has people coming back for more, and that's frankly not what I'm looking for. And I don't know that that's what hardcore console audiences are looking for, although they like persistent games. I just see something like Animal Crossing and I'm like, this is cool. But we kind of have a few Animal Crossing games and we don't need that. And I don't know that it would even be that attractive if it was on this console, because it's a different group of people.
Yeah. One of my biggest, this is a stupid thing to say, but one of my biggest regrets is when we did our top 10 for 2017, I wrestled with it forever, but I put Breath of the Wild over Horizon. And now with hindsight, I'm like, man, those breakable weapons and just 4 dungeons. And I'm like, no, Horizon was my game of the year in 2017. It wasn't Breath of the Wild. I'm excited for Breath of the Wild too, but to me, being an old school Zelda fan, I want them to get back to more of that. Yeah. But who knows what they're actually going to do.
Yeah. I don't know what I mean, I love Zelda, like going way back, and I appreciate what they did. And I feel like the game, Breath of the Wild is this really acclaimed game. I mean, this game has sold many, many millions of copies more than any other Zelda game. It's not even close. I haven't looked at the recent numbers, but I would imagine it's sold maybe twice as many copies as like Ocarina of Time or something. So
yeah, I think it's over like 21 million or something at this point.
Yeah, it's nuts. I mean, I think, maybe it's not quite that high. But I feel like what I want out of Zelda, I feel like it kind of got out of control, like starting with Minish Cap and then the DS games, and where they just were like wedging weird stuff in, or even Four Swords on GBA and on GameCube, where it's like, okay, what is this? Because you kind of start doing different things with Majora's Mask and Wind Waker, but they're still identifiably Zelda. And at some point you're getting away from it. And then with this new game, I played it extensively, and I'm like, this is cool, but it's empty. It's almost boring. I never felt that way about a Zelda game. And I feel like whether it's Majora's Mask's sense of urgency or Ocarina of Time's, dungeons and scope and all of that, or even the original Zelda games, just total mystery. I mean, that game's awesome. And the original Zelda is great on NES. It's a wonderful game. And Link to the Past, of course, really atmospheric. But I just feel like this game, I was like, this is kind of like trying to be a Western role-playing game, but that's not what we really want out of Zelda. Yeah. And it seems like these lessons were learned kind of late. And I feel like it's kind of getting the Nintendo and Zelda bump a little bit. And why are my weapons always breaking? And why am I always cooking shit? And why am I climbing this thing forever? And then it rains and I slip off and I have this stamina wheel. And I don't really know what I'm doing or where I'm going or why. Or it's like, I had so many questions and I was like, this game is kind of obnoxious. It wasn't for me. And I think it was interesting seeing it release against Horizon, because I felt like Horizon was way better than I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be good. I knew that E3 when I played it, that I was like, this game is going to be really good. But I was convinced that it was going to be good, but not this amazing thing. It ended up being this amazing thing. And then Zelda, I kind of was almost understating in my mind. I'm like, sure, maybe this is going to be like this monumental thing, and it's been in development forever. And then I was just like, I don't know. I just felt bored with it. Yeah. And I felt like that was emblematic of Nintendo to me. I look at these games. I look at Animal Crossing. What the fuck is this? I loved Animal Crossing on GameCube. It was really quaint. People used to like trade their little codes on GameFAQs, and it was like it was interesting. It's the same thing with Pikmin back in the day and stuff. Like, you don't need these series over and over again. And I look at them and I'm like, I appreciate differences of opinion. I know that it's like a critically acclaimed game. I know plenty of people that love it. My niece is obsessed with it. My girlfriend plays it. But to me, I'm just like, I don't know what the hell this is. This is not what's attractive to me about video games.
Yeah. See, we both love A Link Between Worlds. And I feel like that's when Zelda finally kind of found its way home and went back to its roots. Like, to me, that's one of the top Zelda games. I'm not a huge fan of just where you can just rent all the items and get them right off the bat. I like getting them gradually throughout the game, but I know Breath of the Wild, for me, Ocarina of Time is my favorite game ever. And I'm like, I don't know how anything will top this. And when I first started Breath of the Wild, just that opening shot, not the opening shot, but, the shot where, he's out on the plateau and they zoom out, Breath of the Wild, whatever. I'm like, I've never experienced anything like that in gaming. And I remember thinking, this is it. This is going to top Ocarina of Time. And for a while there, I'm like, I may have a new all-time favorite. 4 years later, 3 years later, 4 years later, I'm not sure that it's in my top 10 of all time anymore. No. It went from a possible new number 1 to, I think, out of the top 10.
Yeah. It's, I don't know. I didn't beat it. I maybe if I go back to it, I feel like it's a timing thing too. I feel like if I played that game 15 years ago, I would have been mind bent. But at that point, we had just, like, Horizon wasn't the only thing. We had even games like Dying Light and stuff. Like, we had already seen these really dynamic, kinetic, fun open world games, these action games, and I just felt like it paled in comparison. Although we're still waiting for more Dying Light. So
yeah. Well, it's good to hear that you're thinking about a PS5 SKU for Habroxia 2, because I will definitely get my platinum the third time.
Yep.
We would ultimately like to bring everything over. We're just trying to figure out how that works. Like, it's not quite as trivial as people think, but it's not quite as complicated as people might pretend either. So so we just have to figure it out, and it'll be free. Like, if people already own it, so on those respective platforms. So
yeah.
So it's just something we want to do, and it's maybe a possibility for us to fix things too. So yeah, we'll have more to say about all that soon, and then the new game I think we'll announce in the next couple of months as well.
Awesome.
Which I think people, it's unlike, it's again a totally different genre, and but we're totally committed to pixel art, 8/16/32-bit style games. We're totally committed to that. We don't want to work in 2.5 or 3D at all. That's never going to happen.
Yeah.
So people can rely on that. And we're working with an artist we've worked with in the past on all of that. And I'm writing it. So I actually have builds. The game is so, Barry was like so passionate about it that it's kind of been built in a silo, and I've like barely even seen it yet. So I have a build, but I have to plug it in and then figure out how we're going to write it and who the character will be and stuff.
Awesome. One other question about Habroxia. So
sure.
I'm a dad. I have 4 kids. I know. It's insane.
I'm one of 4. So
there you go.
It's all good.
And by the way, your mom is awesome. Betty Ann. Shout out to Betty Ann. I love her on Twitter. And Dagan, obviously the whole family.
She reminds us both of our mom, I think.
Yeah. She's a good woman.
Yes.
But so my oldest is 13 now. He loves video games, but he loves reading and he loves writing too. So I just want to ask, is there any advice, whether it's writing video games or just writing in general, that you would have for him?
Yeah, I mean, I think being a prodigious reader, and it sounds like he is really important. I'm always puzzled when people don't want to write or do write and don't really read or don't have like a touchstone. We're all like kind of in our current ecosystem. We're reading every day, and which is cool. It wasn't like, when you really think about it, it wasn't like that not too long ago. Like, people were just constantly reading.
Yeah.
And to the point where it's like impossible to be illiterate in this society. You just can't do it. And so I always encourage people to keep reading. And I like the idea, the whole Stephen King mantra of like, you sit down and write every day and all of that. Like, I don't really, I appreciate that. I'm not going to argue with Stephen King, but I don't abide by that. I do a lot more thinking than I do writing, and I just think like over and over again and structure things in my head. Like the role-playing game we're making is I've written the treatment and stuff, and it's on its way, but it's mostly still in my head. Like I've still put it together. I just sit in the shower sometimes and just stand there and just thinking. By the time I start writing, like when I wrote the first treatment for the game and like started, it just came out and it was just done. And you have to kind of find your own style and your own, because some people like writing like, you know, their bubble graphs and like their, you know, their word clouds and they have huge notebooks, and I write tons of notes as I'm going. But so I just encourage people to kind of find their own flavor, whether it's the Stephen King kind of approach, but like whatever makes you an honest and good writer. I just think that you can't understate reading, the art of just reading and understanding that I always understand like someone can say what I'm saying so much better. The only way I'm really going to learn that is to read someone else that's better than me. And there are sometimes I read things and you only want to cry. You're like, damn, dude, like this is so good. And I always say to myself, I'm like, man, I wish I thought of that when I'm playing video games, like, or video game stories. I'm like, damn, I wish I thought of this idea. So that kind of half answers the question, but I really think that just sticking with it and I don't know, like, what does he want to write? He wants to write fiction?
I think so. Yeah. So he's done some stuff at school. But yeah, it's definitely fictional stuff that he gets into. He's come up with characters and stories and all this other stuff. And my thinking is, I mean, if you can write that kind of stuff, you can write games, because it's the same thing. It's just, it's getting these ideas in your head, getting them down on paper, working on the flow. How does the story flow and everything? And yeah, he loves it. And he loves reading science fiction. He loves fantasy stuff. He's a better reader than I am now. I mean, he's not better. He reads more than I do is what I should say. He's 13. He's not a better.
You read at an 8th grade level or
whatever. But yeah, he loves it. The big thing with him I got to work on, and he'll listen to this, so I'm just going to rag on him a little bit. He loves his Fortnite and he loves his Warzone and Apex. And I get it, because especially now when we're dealing with COVID and stuff, that's how he gets to talk to his friends and hang out with them and stuff. Yeah. So I get that, but I'm like, man, I gotta get him into the single player games too. Cause I'm like I said, I'm 39 years old. I can't do anything multiplayer anymore. If there's any, like, I play Call of Duty online. I'm like, oh, I see who I need to shoot. I turn, I fire, and by the time I'm clicking the trigger, I'm dead already. I'm just like, I don't have the reactions for this anymore. I love the single player games. It's really all I play. So I got to get him to that side of the industry.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's easy enough to do just because it's like a beautiful marriage of storytelling and gameplay. You can almost get both out of the way at once, and that would be to me, especially if you're a time as currency person like I am. That's what's so compelling a lot of times about playing. Like The Last of Us or something like that that can be told in a novel form, and it would be really interesting in a novel form. We're going to see it in television form soon, but it was a video game that made it really unique, and it's as good as reading a really great piece of fiction that's similar in style and ethos, like The Road or something. But you get to play it too. And yeah, games as a social tool is awesome. I think the reason I don't vibe with multiplayer is because I don't really seek social tools. So it's, it's just not what I'm looking for especially in video games. Like I look for, when I go to video games, I want to be alone. Like if anything, I'm totally trying to be alone, but I understand that there are a lot of people like your son out there. And I mean, God, if he loves fantasy and sci-fi, I mean, and imagine because you're a little bit older than I am. So you totally understand this, and I understand it full well. Imagine being 13 years old and not having played almost anything. I mean, I don't even know where you would begin. I don't even know like what you would do. If I loved science fiction and fantasy, what would I even do? Would you go play BioShock? Would you play Final Fantasy VI? If you're looking for something truly sci-fi, you go to Mass Effect, or do you go to Phantasy Star? Are you looking for something really dark? Like Silent Hill or Resident Evil? I don't know. It's like, Jesus, the world is your oyster. So if he is listening to this, it's cool to play Apex Legends. I mean, it's a wonderful game. And Fortnite, I make fun of it, but I call it Fartnite. I mean, it's fun to call it that. But clearly people love it. But geez, man, it's like it's almost like becoming a cinephile or something, like coming out of the womb today and being like, man, I can watch any movie because there's literally I have no experience.
Right.
You know, it's or virtually no experience. Like you just by proxy of his age cannot have the necessary experience with these games. If you're a cool dad and you let him play even M-rated games, which maybe you will, maybe you won't. I mean, imagine him playing Grand Theft Auto 3 or something. I mean, these are seminal games. And we were talking about Metroid Prime, and my God, it's like so exciting. It's like what I always say, like, wow, imagine if I could just erase my mind and I've never seen Seinfeld or something. Like, be amazing.
Well, that's like Metal Gear is my favorite series of all time.
Oh, yeah.
Metal Gear Solid 3 is my favorite game of all time.
Yeah, I see your codec in the.
Yeah, it's like, I know it's not the best playing game. Like those games are all, I get that they're hard to go back to now. But that's why, well, let me just ask this now. So you called Bluepoint doing Demon Souls forever ago. You said, look, it's Demon Souls. And I kept going, man, I hope #Colin is wrong because I really want it to be Metal Gear 3. But so they did Shadow of the Colossus. They nailed that. Demon Souls was freaking amazing. And I've never been into the Soulsborne games, but I got it for Christmas and I actually beat it. He platinumed it, for crying out loud. He also platinumed Bloodborne, Cuphead, and Hollow Knight.
Wow.
Yeah.
Cuphead, I wouldn't even bother with. I can barely get out of any of the fucking last world bosses. I mean, not that I really sat there and tried, but I'm like, I'm not doing this. And then, Hollow Knight, I beat. And I got to like that. There's like that tournament thing or something you have to enter and all.
The Coliseum.
It's like I'm like, So those are really hard. I mean, those are harder than anything I have. Very well done. Yeah.
Thank you.
So what do you think? And if you know, I mean, I'm not trying to pry you, but so they've done 2.5 years apart. Shadow of the Colossus, Demon Souls. Sony needs to buy them. We all know that. But I mean, in my perfect world, all these rumors about Konami licensing their IP. Metal Gear, Castlevania, I agree with you. It should go to From Software. But what would you like to see Bluepoint do next? Outside, not them doing a new game, because I know that you've talked about that. But if there was a remake that they could do, what did you think? And I go back to that I'm rambling now, but I go back to that damn tweet that they did around Halloween
where they teased like 17 games.
Yeah, Demon Souls, Castlevania, Metal Gear. I don't even know what else. But what would you like to see them go back and make new next?
Yeah, well, it's funny because I do think it could be one of those Konami games. The Demon Souls thing I knew, so when I learned about it and I knew it was safe to say it, that was, that's when I was like, well, it's Demon Souls. And I can tell you, it's like when I used to tell you guys about, the audience about like Dead Don't Ride or whatever. It's like, well, it didn't end up being called that, but sometimes you just learn things and you want to let the audience know. And with Bluepoint, I don't know what they're doing next. I do think that tweet was weird. I remember that. And it did make me feel like, well, these things kind of get into motion early on. Konami's not stupid. I mean, that they're not really interested in any of this anymore, but they're not stupid. And they realize with, I think, the Castlevania Netflix series that's been very well received and other things that they can kind of just be a licensor and they don't need to be involved in any of this. And so their longtime relationship with Sony, going back to the PS1 and certainly I think crescendoing with Symphony of the Night and Metal Gear Solid later on, they have that long relationship. And so to kind of make the connection with Bluepoint would make some sense. And Bluepoint has worked independently with Konami too. So, and they actually worked independently with Konami around the same time they started working with Sony. So they have a relationship there. So if you are kind of like a conspiracy theorist, and I am, then I feel like there are some connections there. The Pepe Silva board from Always Sunny in Philadelphia. I feel like, you could totally see this. And I do feel like there's something to the Konami stuff. Whether it goes to Bluepoint or not, I feel like there's some rumbling. They've been awfully quiet. They did announce that thing in Europe where they're trying to publish third-party games. I feel like that's like irrelevant. It's what they do with their own IP. And Castlevania and Metal Gear and Contra and even Pro Evolution Soccer and stuff like that, Bomberman. I mean, these things could be alive. I mean, Bomberman could be something. There was a Bomberman launch game on Switch, I remember. There's like ways to sneak some of this stuff in. So I don't know. We'll find out.
Yeah, I hope it's something Konami is what I would say. No matter what. When we do our E3 predictions every year, I've been predicting for like 5 years, ever since we've had the podcast. I'm like, yeah, Metal Gear Solid remake or Metal Gear Solid 3 remake, one of them.
And Half-Life 3.
Yeah. Yeah, right.
Yeah, it would be interesting to see like it kind of Bluepoint. I don't know that it would be obvious to me that it would have to be Metal Gear or Silent Hill, just because I don't know what Castlevania game they would do. But no one gives a shit about the 3D Castlevania games. They're not going to remake Legacy of Darkness or or the fucking Mercury Steam games. Like no one cares about those. So those kinds of remakes, if they wanted to go back to them, that's the stuff that should go to like Way Forward or Any Creates or something, or just let one of those studios make a new one, which would be way smarter, and then remake Metal Gear Solid and remake Silent Hill. And let those kind of work. Metal Gear can kind of work on its own, and just you can have a series of remakes over years. No one expects or even wants new Metal Gear without Kojima, so I think it can live on its own, and then you can have this, at least do the trilogy from PS2, and then on the other side you can have Silent Hill and Silent Hill 2 remade, and then have that actually lead into a new game. And wouldn't it be cool if Sony was like the peacemaker between Kojima and Konami, which would be interesting too. I don't think that's going to happen. These companies, especially Japanese companies, hold long grudges and remember things and aren't necessarily monetarily driven. Actually, they're clearly not, because of the way, the so-called theme of window facing jobs and not laying people off, and they don't care, so that kind of stuff looms large. It's like why Nintendo and Sony still like aren't really friendly. I mean, their games can be played like through other platforms with each other. You can play Fortnite or something, but I don't know. So it'll be interesting to see. It's frustrating because the language barrier continues to isolate Japan from Western ears and prying eyes. And the 4Gamer and whoever and all the IGNs over there, like they're just in a silo by themselves. And so we have to kind of rely on these very specific sources, and it sucks. It's annoying. It's the same thing with Japan Studio, like kind of collapsing recently. And like, we didn't know anything about that. Well, I would have known about that this has been bubbling for months. I mean, people weren't getting renewed, and that somehow didn't leak. Yeah. So it just shows that language barrier makes it frustrating to sometimes cover a Japanese company.
Yeah, for sure. Did you ever go back to Cyber Shadow? I hadn't heard you talk about it the last few weeks. That's the hardest freaking game I think I have played in like the last, I don't even know, 25 years or something. I beat it, but it took me almost 13 hours, and it took me 491 deaths.
Wow, I mean, I heard that the game spikes really bad. Like stage 7, 8 or something like that. And
chapter 8 almost broke me. Yeah.
And so very Ninja Gaiden like in that way, like having the massive 2/3 of the way through the game difficulty spike, very old school Tecmo, annoying shit. But no, I went back. So I played almost all of it. I think I'd have to look at my trophies, but I think I played like virtually all of what I've played of it in like 1 or 2 days. Then like the next week I went back to it and I played like a little bit more. And then I went back to it again, and I'm like, I can't. Now I got to start this over again, because I'm totally. You got to be. That was what was great about old NES games, especially like games that wouldn't let you really interact with passwords. Like the original Castlevania is kind of a bad example because it was easy, but like the Ninja Gaiden games or whatever, where it's like, man, you're going to sit down and play this to fruition. You really got to sit down and do it. And it's kind of a similar spirit with that game. That game's really cool. I love how clearly Mega Man inspired it is. And right down to the enemies and the hex art and the different environments. Like, I'm like, Jesus Christ, like this guy is referencing Mega Man 4 and like Mega Man 5. And it's super cool. I and shout out to Yacht Club for seeing and identifying that game, because so obviously it was going to be awesome. And they kind of sat with it and allowed it to be built properly. And a lot of confusion about them. Like, people think they've made that game.
Right. Yeah.
Which I wouldn't, if I was Mechanical Head or whatever, I wouldn't be upset if people thought Yacht Club made it, because we would sell more copies. But it's a really special game. So I got to get back to it, but it's going to require me to go back to the beginning.
Yeah. I really hope, just mentioning Yacht Club, can we freaking get Shovel Knight 2? I don't care if it's 8-bit, 16-bit. Shovel Knight Dig, I don't know.
I'm not sold on it.
I don't know how I feel about that. I love Shovel
Knight. That's being
Knight.
built by another team, right?
Too. Right, yeah.
So
I hope I hope they
know what
come
doing.
back. Yeah.
I appreciate that their whole thing was we want to do what we promised we were going to do in the Kickstarter, which was the DLC packs. And I'm like, I don't know, guys. I know them. I really like those guys a lot. I wrote the intro to their art book and everything. And I was the person that revealed the game on IGN. They've later admitted that they basically surgically targeted me to do that, but I respect that. I mean, I don't mind being used sometimes, especially for a game like that. Man, if I was like in publishing and I had a little bit more money at that time, I should have fucking funded that game. You know, they were asking for $55,000 or $60,000. Can you imagine?
Really?
It's like, Jesus Christ, you know, so they're all millionaires now and that's awesome. But I don't know like why they won't execute. I remember their original idea, as you said, was like to start bumping the games up to go to like 16-bit. And they were even talking about doing like they wanted to do like a 64-bit style game, which sounds horrible, but that was kind of like their vision. But what we really wanted, I think, in this environment was like we wanted Shovel Knight 2, Shovel Knight 3. It's kind of run with the kind of games that you were inspired by to begin with. And instead, I respect it, but it's kind of like retreading over and over and over again. It's like, all right, so even with King Knight, it's like, well, now we're just going to play the same stages again, and they're going to be tweaked a little bit for him. And there's so much potential for cool stuff there. And I don't know why it seems like there's a little bit of like fear in getting it. I mean, guys, I was at IGN for a year and a half. And, you know, I should say the game came out and I was at IGN for another year and a half or so before.
Yeah, that's how long ago it was. Yeah.
You know, I mean, it was a really long time ago, but more power to them. I mean, they have the money to keep going. But I just feel like, I don't know. What do you guys, don't you want to do it? And I talked to them because they're old school Mega Man fans, obviously. And Mega Man fans know that all of the enemies after Mega Man 1 were created by the audience, and they wanted to do a similar thing. And I was like, that would be so cool. Like, let people design their own knights. And so I don't know, but we haven't seen any of that yet.
Yeah. I feel like a lot of the backers would probably be fine with just saying, that's fine. No more DLC. You just keep it. Just get to work on Shovel Knight 2. I don't think anybody would have any problem with that, but more power to them for, you know, holding true to their promises. But
or they could just say like, however many people supported them there, 10,000 people or whatever it was, 15,000 people. It's like, we'll just give you vouchers for the game. And instead of doing 2 more DLC packs or whatever, like when the game's done, we'll just give you can just have it for free. And it would be like literally just buying that time back. So for literally no penalty. Yeah. So
I really liked the Spectre Knight. That was the only one that I played. That was
by far the
all
best.
The way through.
Yep.
I didn't like Plague Knight because I just didn't like the way the Plague Knight played. King Knight was fine, but then it was so heavy on the card games, and I just don't like card games, so I kind of fell off of that. But Spectre Knight was really good. Yeah,
Spectre Knight was cool because like the slashing through things to fly and stuff like that. It was cool, but you know, come on, man. You know, let's move on and get this over. I want to see this world is so cool, but it actually becomes less cool the more you see it in some way. Like, I don't need to see it over and over and over. Like that awesome scene when you see the castle in the background as you walk and you're fighting Black Knight or whatever in the beginning. And it's like that's becomes less cool the 17th time you see it. You know? Going to the world map for the first time like becomes less cool. Seeing that fish jump out of the water. See it interacting with the townsfolk and stuff like all of that becomes less cool. You're just beating it in the ground at this point. So, but I don't want to be too mean. I understand if I had something like that, though, I would be very eager to iterate on it. And maybe they don't feel like they have the quality where they need it to be to justify that yet, but that's hard to believe, isn't it? I mean, look at the talent there. Good Lord. You know, have half that talent, I'd be 10 times, you know, I'd be a wealthy man.
Right if I had
half the talent of that studio wielded in my body.
Well, that was like Yacht Club's awesome. And, you know, I'd been following Cyber Shadow ever since it got announced, but then when it was announced that Yacht Club was going to publish it, I was like, okay, so this really is something special. So yeah, I can't wait to see what they do next. I hope now that I think they've gotten through all the DLC now after King Knight, right?
Yeah. King Knight was the end. Yeah.
Okay, good. So hopefully sometime before its 10th anniversary, we'll see Shovel Knight 2.
Yeah, maybe that's what they're waiting for at this point.
Okay, so I think now, Colin, we just want to run through a little lightning round with you.
Sure.
I know the answers to some of these, but we want to ask them anyways.
Okay.
Is it GIF or GIF?
Really depends on the day, but it is GIF. I mean, it
Thank
is
you.
GIF.
Thank you.
You know, it is, whether or not it's just like, here's my example. Okay. I'm going to give you a personal example. It's like, my name is Colin, right?
Mm-hmm.
When I was younger, people that didn't like me or wanted to tease me would call me Colin, right? Now, in their mind, they could be like, well, no, your name's Colin. And everyone can be like, your name is Colin. But ultimately, like, I'm the arbiter of what my name is. My parents are the arbiter of what my name is. They put me in the earth. They created me. They named me. The man who created the GIF called it the GIF.
Yep. We
can say it's like GIF now, and that's totally fine. But it doesn't mean that. So both, you know what I mean? Like, the etymology of it is what it is. Whether or not we want to move on and evolve is one thing entirely. But I almost feel like people just throw that away as if it doesn't matter. And I'm like, isn't that the most relevant thing, is like what the person who made it called it? I think it is.
I mean, I can respect that. I'm an SEAN Sean. So I grew up getting called Scene or Shane or all sorts of things. So I can respect that. Yeah, but I still say GIF. But
yeah, I mean, I say both, and I go back and forth too, you know, but I'm trying to respect the man, you know.
Right.
I'm trying to, and I understand GIF, it makes everyone think of peanut butter. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
So
Chick-fil-A or Popeyes?
Chick-fil-A for sure, but Popeyes is really good. I just wouldn't go to Popeyes for the same things that I would go to Chick-fil-A for. I go to Popeyes more for what I would go to KFC for. Like, if you know what I mean? Like, if you're going to go for a more chicken and biscuits type thing, just fried chicken and some sides or whatever, I would go to Popeyes. Yeah. If I'm going for the sandwiches and the fries that way, I'm going to Chick-fil-A.
Amen.
That's kind of my, you know. Yeah.
You want to ask this one?
Yeah, this was one of my entries. Describe your perfect burger.
Let's see. I mean, probably 2 patties, lots of American cheese melted on both of them, you know, on top of each other, on a lightly toasted sesame seed bun with mayonnaise on it. And then either grilled or raw onion. I think you can go, they're very different, but I'm not going to, maybe raw onion is a little bit more burger like for me. And then ketchup on that, and just squish it together and just cut it in half and just eat it just like that. I mean, I love a lot of different things on burgers. Like avocado on burgers is really good. And, you know, mushrooms on burgers can be really good. There's like all sorts of things, but I feel like you don't need to overthink it.
Yeah.
You know, to get the essence of it. And that would be like burgers and fries is like, man, that's good stuff. Yeah.
Do you ever have you ever do a fried egg on it?
I have, definitely, at different restaurants when that's available. And I've even done that a few times in my own house where I'm like, that you kind of get that, especially like a little bit of the runny yolk and almost like an over medium egg. And but then, you know, it's a lot of where you get the pan out and stuff like that. It's, you know, I don't want to do all that work.
It's a lot.
But sometimes when you go to like a restaurant, which none of us do anymore, but when those things used to happen, and there would be like the little fixins at the bottom, it'd be like, you know, $2 for an egg and $2 for an avocado. And I sometimes I'd start ringing that shit off, you know, but I'm not going to do that generally speaking. Like Five Guys cheeseburger, extra cheese, ketchup, mayo, grilled onions. I mean, that's perfect. That's perfect. Get 2 or 3 of them. You know.
All right. So that actually kind of plays in before as a preamble to this next question, real quick. Five Guys or In-N-Out? Sounds like
they're both really good. I mean, I think
Okay.
Five Guys is incredibly superior to In-N-Out, but they're different. Where do you guys live?
Memphis,
Tennessee. Yeah.
You're both in Memphis now. Okay.
Yep.
I was in Memphis once. It was actually really cool. I saw.
Yeah, you were here for 311 Day, right?
Yeah, in 2006.
Yep.
Oh, nice.
And so you're not. Have you had In-N-Out? Gone in California? Or
I've had it, and honestly, it didn't live up to the hype for me. It was fine, but I don't understand the hype.
I think the thing with In-N-Out is like it's super. First of all, it's super cheap.
Yeah,
it's incredibly affordable. It's like it's cheaper than McDonald's, really, like pound for pound, and they pay their employees really well, and everything's really fresh, and it's a privately run company and all that. And there's a lot to like about it generally. Like it's a great place to work, and they pay like their managers like 6 figures and stuff at the restaurants. Like It's pretty cool, and they do that just by volume. It's always full.
Yeah,
they're very customer oriented and very polite and all of that. Very Chick-fil-A like in that regard. And so there's a lot to like about it. And every once in a while, like I crave it. even when I lived in Santa Monica, where it was a little harder to get than it was in Northern California, just by where I lived, like I would sometimes just Uber to get it because I wanted it. But I agree. It has it's not the burger's fault that it's been hyped up. You know what I mean? Like Californians and Nevadans and Arizonans, like they hype this burger up and you're like, man, it's not that good. It's really not that good. In fact, like Shake Shack, which is a very similar East Coast thing, is way better than In-N-Out. No doubt about it. So yeah, I think Five Guys is better. It's more universally found. I think In-N-Out is a cool piece of like California kitsch. And like when you go, you got to have In-N-Out. And I agree. Like go get and do the secret menu and do all, like have fun with it. It's super cool. It's certainly something everyone should do when they go to California, but I wouldn't expect that you're going to walk out of there being like, this is the best burger I've ever had, because it is categorically can't possibly be true unless you had no burgers in your life.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. So
it's better than McDonald's or Burger King.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Oh yeah. I'll give you that. So next question, not about burgers, but just in general, East Coast or West Coast?
East Coast for sure.
Yeah.
West Coast is cool. I lived there for a long time, and I'm not gonna hate on a place that I was in. I was in California for 13 years, and I learned a lot of things there, and I met a lot of cool people and had a lot of cool experiences. I never anticipated that I'd actually ever leave, even though I always said I wanted to. It was kind of easy to say things like, but the East Coast is just more my speed. It's just kind of more my people, and you really do feel more at home where you feel like you belong. I feel like I never was quite at home in California, even though I lived there for so long. It never quite felt like the place I wanted to be or should have been. So I like both, and they have their own flavors, and I have a lot of experience in both, but I'm never going to leave the East Coast again. I can't imagine that's ever going to happen.
Yeah.
All right, let's fly through a couple of these real quick. We all know that we say SNES and not SNES.
Yeah.
And we say Resident Evil and we don't say Resi.
Oh,
but I feel like I've never heard Resi.
I see people write it, like especially Eurogamer. They write it. They're like Resi 7 and stuff. But
the Europeans, the Europeans did this SNES thing too. It's like you just can't listen to them. No, dude, no one says SNES.
No,
like I never heard anyone in my life say that until we started listening to Europe on the internet.
Yeah.
No, Resi. Yeah, like the other thing I've said this too. Like I hate that, and you guys might use it, so no offense, but the term rolling credits, I also hate that.
Oh, I hate that. I beat a game.
So pretentious and annoying.
Yeah.
We beat games.
Yes. Freaking men.
Or we finish them. That's just the terminology. Like I just rolled credits on.
Yeah.
On The Last of Us Part 2. It's like, shut the fuck up.
No, you're trying to be too. You're trying to be so snooty and pretentious.
Yes.
And it's stupid. All right, a couple more real quick. I know you got to go, man.
No, take your time. That's fine.
Let's see. Castlevania 3 or Super Castlevania 4?
Oh, Castlevania 3, definitely. I think Castlevania 4 is good, but I don't quite understand why it's so beloved. I actually just played it not too long ago, probably like within the last 4 or 5 months, and it's a good game. I hear the music from the first stage in my head right now.
Iconic. Yep.
It's awesome. Like especially like that breakdown, where it's like really like jammy, and so it's fucking awesome. And the fills on the drums. But Castlevania 3 is classic. And actually Habroxia 2, no one would ever notice this, but its intro is 5 frames, and the pictures are inserted where they are and all of that, and there are no pictures and all of that, based entirely on Castlevania 3 structure for its intro. So that was like an ode. If you can picture the Castlevania 3 scroll where it like tells the story, I totally copied that for Habroxia 2 as kind of an ode. So if you watch ours, they don't scroll, they flash instead. We don't have the scroll, but you'll see like the first statement for Castlevania 3's has no picture. The first statement of ours has no picture. The fourth statement has a picture underneath. The fourth picture of ours is a picture underneath, and all of that. So it's an echo of Castlevania 3 on purpose, because I absolutely adore that game.
That's
so
awesome.
Good. That game is awesome.
I love it. And that's why I love Curse of the Moon. Curse of the Moon 2. I was I got the platinum in Curse of the Moon 2, and I didn't think I could, because it was, once you start going through all the levels again and you have different characters, so you can go through the levels in different ways. It's like if I didn't have the little dog, Poochie, whatever the hell his name was, in the mech suit, so I can just stomp on spikes and stuff, it made the levels harder. But I freaking loved it. I had it like on my personal list of like number 4 last year or something. I just absolutely love that game. And it's because it's Castlevania 3 on steroids, and it's awesome.
Yeah, it's unabashedly Castlevania 3. It's almost amazing that they did it again, where it's like, because I felt like the first time they were like, we dare you to, we dare Konami to say anything about this, and then they just did an even more audacious Castlevania 3 clone, and it's like you almost feel like people are picking on Konami a little bit sometimes, because like I don't know if you'd make like a Mega Man clone that blatantly and think you would get away with it, but because some people are like, oh, 20XX and all that. I'm like, that's not really a Mega Man clone. Like this is a Castlevania game, like straight up.
Yeah, this is straight up Castlevania.
It's excellent though. It's totally. I love that they're doing that. Like I love that they just did it again. I thought that the first time was just like kind of a cool little thing, and then they're like, oh, we'll do. Any Crates has been doing that though. They did that with Mighty Number 9 too. Although with less effect,
lesser success there. All right, one more here, and then we'll let you go, man. This is tough. Super Mario 3 or Super Mario World?
That is tough. I would say Super Mario World is the better game, but they're both 10s in my mind. And Super Mario World is just Super Mario 3 that's just much more refined. It has a lot more backtracking. It has backtracking generally. I mean, you can't really move around Super Mario 3 quite the same way that you can move around Super Mario World. And there's all those secrets like Star World and the different exclamation blocks and all of that, and ghost houses and stuff. But when I think about Super Mario 3, I'm like, the airships are so iconic. Like I loved the airships when I was a kid. I was obsessed with those things, and I used to try to build them with Legos. And but they're both excellent games. I mean, I don't know that you can go wrong with one or the other, but I would go with Super Mario World, it's amazing that was a pack-in game. It's absolutely incredible that a game of that quality would come with a console. We see that like Astrobot is really good on PS5, but it's amazing that Super Mario World, they just gave that game away, as opposed to like, if I were them, I'd been like, you got Pilot Wings and we'll sell this game instead, so it was kind of a very pro consumer move on their part.
Yeah, I think Mario World is just they're both perfect. Mario World's definitely easier, I think, because we played through both of them a couple years ago on the channel. Mario 3, I felt like was more difficult.
Definitely, it definitely is.
But Mario World is just, my God, it's perfect. And between that and Link to the Past, which is probably my second favorite game of all time, I mean, the Super Nintendo was just absolutely insane, and the NES was also. It's just it's amazing. So.
Yeah, SNES is a wonderful console, and our games are trying to really be more of an ode to those consoles, NES and SNES and Genesis and Master System and whatever. So yeah, I'm totally there. I mean, that's like where my mind always is just with those games. And even the games I play now, I often just look for games that are from, or look like they're from that era and stuff. So yeah.
Well, awesome. Colin, I just can't thank you enough for sitting down with us. Like I said, you're the reason that we do this. I'm so happy to see all your success, and I just could never thank you enough for sitting down with us here for an hour just to talk shop. So thank you so much.
You're very welcome. Thank you guys for the kind words, and good luck to you. And I appreciate it. And I'll be happy to come back in the future when I reemerge from my cocoon.
I appreciate it.
Awesome.
Everybody check out patreon.com/laststandmedia, laststandmedia.shop. I think I got that right.
Yeah. For the merch. Yeah. The merch.
And Sacred Symbols, the best video game podcast that there is.
Thank you.
And Defining Duke. I'm a PlayStation guy. So.
No, it's cool. I mean, that's cool. I'm thrilled for those guys' success too, because it's all of our success, but yeah, they're different shows and for different audiences. So I don't take it. Some people are like, I like Defining Duke more. I'm like, that's fine. I'm happy. Yeah.
Awesome. All right. Well, that's it for today. Colin, again, I'll say till I'm blue in the face. Thank you so much. We'll be back next time. So Sean, why don't you go ahead and take us out?
Thank you for playing.